Hello! Pizza Packs here, and we're back with Throwback Thursday, episode number 47. Man, we've done quite a few of these. This week we have the Tokyo August 1999 World Championships World Championship deck played by Kai Budde. Kai, of course, was one of the top-rated players of all time. At one point, he was the top-rated player of all time for individual play. So let's get into this. Let's see. World champion Kai Budde's red artifact deck employed more than 30 artifacts to generate huge amounts of mana. Big creatures like Masticore or Covetous Dragon became a threat to any opponent, and a well-timed wildfire added to the finishing touch. Very nice. And it looks like I forgot to organize this. One moment. Alright, so Kai Budde, deck list. Let's see if we can get that to focus a little better. No, come on. There we go. So, we have the main deck, 4 Covetous Dragon from Urza's Destiny, 1 Karn Silver Golem from Urza's Saga, 3 Masticore from Urza's Destiny, then other, so mostly artifacts, 4 Cursed Scroll from Tempest, 4 Mad All-Star at the time, 4 Fire Diamond from Classic, aka 6th edition, 4 Grim Monolith from Urza's Legacy, still a mainstay in Legacy and Vintage today, 2 Mishra's Helix from Urza's Saga, great card still played in premodern, 4 Temporal Aperture from Urza's Saga, 4 Thran Dynamo from Urza's Destiny, 4 Voltaic Key from Urza's Saga, still played very heavily in Legacy and Vintage, 4 Wildfire from Urza's Saga, great card that's been a ton of fun every time it's been in Standard, 2 Worn Power Stone from Urza's Saga. You may notice a theme here, which is that Urza's Saga was very powerful. And then for lands, we have 3 Ancient Tomb from Tempest, and then 4 City of Traders from Exodus, and 13 Mountains. This version has classics of 6th edition, Tempest, and Urza's Saga arts. And then for the sideboard, we have 2 Boil from Tempest, 3 Earthquake from Classic, 1 Mishra's Helix from Urza's Saga, 1 Phyrexian Processor from Urza's Saga, 2 Rack and Ruin from Urza's Legacy, 2 Shattering Pulse from Exodus, and 4 Spell Shock from Exodus. Funny enough, I don't see any Stronghold cards in here. Oh well. Yeah, this is Kai Budde's World Championship deck. Kai Budde, champion. Known as the King of the Grand Prix, Kai Budde earned an unprecedented 3 Grand Prix titles in 1999. He went only 4-2 during the Swiss portion of the World Championships. He cruised through the final 8 to become the 1999 World Champion. The 19-year-old Cologne, Germany native played a red artifact deck that contained more than 30 artifacts. He used those artifacts to quickly generate huge amounts of mana, with which he could play a big creature like Masticore or Covetous Dragon. He would then finish off his opponent with a well-timed Wildfire. Fair enough. So let's look at the sideboard. We have Boil. Of course, to shut down blue decks. Wait for them to tap out, and then one-sided Armageddon them. This is the Tempest art by Jason Alexander Benke. 3 in a red, instant, destroy all islands. Pretty self-explanatory. Except we have Earthquake with a beautiful 6th edition Richard Kane Ferguson art. I really wish this was a black border printing. X in a red, sorcery. Earthquake deals X damage to each creature without flying and each player. Also a good way to force a draw if you're in a position where you can't win. Mishra's Helix. Art by Barry. This is the Urza's Saga printing. 5 mana artifact, X tap, tap X lands. This was Giga Drowse before we had Giga Drowse. This was a way of shutting down your opponent's mana at the end of their turn so that you had a clear turn to just run rampant. Or just tap them low. You could also do it during their upkeep to shut down their turn as well. Except Phyrexian Processor from Urza's Saga, art by Ron Spencer, another absolute classic piece of art. 4-mana artifact. When Phyrexian Processor comes into play, pay any amount of life. 4, tap, put a minion token into play. Treat this token as a black creature with power and toughness, each equal to the amount of life paid at the time the Phyrexian Processor came into play. So the common thing was to make it a 10-10 or 12-12. Sometimes people would do a 19-19, which is a little crazy. But just make a big dude that you can make every single turn. So, good way to close out the game, and can be used defensively. Rack and Ruin from Urza's Legacy. This is the Donato Giancola art. I believe it's the only art. 2 and a red, instant, destroy 2 target artifacts. Artifacts were a big theme during this year. Shattering Pulse. This is the Exodus printing, art by Donato Giancola as well. 1 and a red, instant, buyback 3, so you can pay 3 to put this back into your hand instead of into your graveyard as you cast it. Destroy target artifact. We have 2 copies. Next up, Spell Shock. This was to counteract a lot of the more aggressive decks that were playing a whole bunch of spells. Also, trying to think, some of the combo decks at the time would just blow off a fury of spells. I mean, you could stick this on, turn 2 or 3 and help lock up the game that way. But this is the Exodus printing with art by Thomas M. Baxa. 2 and a red, enchantment. Whenever a player successfully casts a spell, Spell Shock deals 2 damage to him or her. So, it's very similar to how Eidolon of the Great Revel gets used. A few other cards. Pyrostatic Pillar is the one I was trying to think of. And that's our sideboard. Collect all 4 World Championship decks. Relive the excitement of the 1999 World Championships with these 4 commemorative decks. So we have Kai Budde, which we're doing this week. And then the previous 3 weeks we had Mark Lapine, Matt Linde, and Jakob Slemmer. Kai Budde, World Championship. World Champion Kai Budde's red artifact deck employed more than 30 artifacts to generate huge amounts of mana. Big creatures like Mastercore or Covetous Dragon became a threat to any opponent, and a well-timed wildfire added the finishing touch. We had Mark Lapine, which was last week. Lapine's aggressive sped red deck applied the pressure early with 11 fast creatures before shifting into land destruction mode. A late-game Curse Scroll and Hammer of Garden would finish off his mana-crippled opponents. The week prior, we had Matt Linde, semifinalist. Matt's speedy mono green deck contained 26 low-cost creatures, supplementing the Nasty Creature Assault were 4 Rankers and 4 Giant Growths. If his opponents weren't smothered by turn 5, Linde's Curse Scrolls would pick up the slack. You'll notice all 4 of these decks played Curse Scroll, because it was just the best thing to be doing at the time. And then the week prior to that, we had Jakob Slemmer, quarterfinalist. Jakob's mono black deck controlled the board with Curse Scrolls, Powdered Kegs, and Phyrexian Plague Lords. His black control creation also pounded his opponents early with discard effects found in Ravenous Rats, Duress, and Stupor. What a time, what a time. Right, now we have our artist proof cards. Put those off to the side. Okay, let's get into the main deck. Covetous Dragon from Urza's Destiny. Art by RK Post, another classic artist. 4 and a red for a 6/5 dragon with flying. When you control no artifacts, sacrifice Covetous Dragon. We have 4 copies. Karn Silver Golem. This was a great way to both defend effectively in the mid game, but also turn your artifacts in the late game into threats. But this is the only printing, as far as I'm aware, other than a promotional printing for Arena and a From the Vault artifacts, I believe it was. This is the Urza Saga printing, art by Mark Zug. 5 mana 4/4 legendary artifact creature. Whenever Karn Silver Golem blocks or becomes blocked, it gets -4/+4 until end of turn. It's also saw heavy legacy and vintage play for several years. 1 target non-creature artifact is an artifact creature with power and toughness each equal to its casting cost until end of turn. That artifact retains its abilities. So another neat thing that you could do with this was blow up your opponent's Moxen, which was why it was played so heavily in Vintage. Also, later on, when artifact lands were introduced, this was a good way to control your opponent's lands. Still does a pretty good job of that. The Masticore is from Urza's Destiny, art by Paolo Parente. 4 mana 4/4 artifact creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may choose and discard a card from your hand. If you don't, sacrifice Masticore. 2, Masticore deals 1 damage to target creature, and 2, regenerate Masticore. Absolute powerhouse in premodern, and was a powerhouse during Standard at the time. This card was an absolute menace, and I remember a lot of people calling for it to be banned. We have 3 copies of Masticore. Speaking of cards that people wanted banned, we have Curse Scroll from Tempest, art by D. Alexander Gregory. 1 mana artifact, 3, tap, name a card. Target opponent chooses a card at random from your hand. If he or she chooses the named card, Curse Scroll deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Just late game inevitability. We have 4 copies of Curse Scroll. Could be mid game inevitability with how much mana this deck produces. Fire Diamond. This is the 6th edition printing, although it's identical to the Mirage printing. Art by Richard Thomas. 2 mana artifact, comes into play tapped, taps for red. And we have 4 copies of Fire Diamond. Just a good way to ensure your red sources off of colorless sources. Grim Monolith. Still one of the best mana rocks ever printed. Not restricted. Used to be restricted in Vintage. Is now legal in Legacy and Vintage. From Urza's Legacy. It's never had a reprint as far as I know, other than maybe a Judge promo. Art by Chippy. 2 mana artifact. Does not untap during your untap phase. Tap, add 3 colorless to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. Just, it's a mana ability at this point. 4, untap Grim Monolith. So if you can make this cheaper by 1, you have infinite taps and untaps. If you make that ability cheaper by 2, you have infinite colorless mana, which is often how it's used, along with Zerda and the Gadgeteer thing. I can't remember the name of it, but we have 4 copies of Grim Monolith. Mishra's Helix. Urza Saga printing, art by Barry. 5 mana artifact, X tap, tap X lands. Again, good way of shutting down your opponent during their upkeep, or just tapping them out at the end of their turn to clear the way for a big turn of your own. So it's a good way of stalling the game, too. We have 2 copies of Mishra's Helix. Next up, Temporal Aperture, or Aperture. This is the Urza Saga printing, art by Michael Stutfin. Michael Stutfin. 2 mana artifact, 5, tap, shuffle your library, and reveal the top card. Until end of turn, as long as that card remains on top of your library, you may play the card as though in your hand without paying its mana cost. Just another way to dig and effectively access card draw. Expensive card draw, but card draw. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Temporal Aperture. Thran Dynamo from Urza's Destiny, art by Ron Spears. 4 mana artifact, taps for 3 colorless mana. That's it. Just 4 mana artifact that taps for 3. So your net -1 the turn it comes in, but otherwise you're up 3. So great ramp card, fantastic mana rock, still sees play in a number of formats, and just good. Also lines up extremely well with your curse scrolls, because this taps for 3 and they need 3 to activate. We have 4 copies of Thran Dynamo. Speaking of synergizing well with other things in the deck, we have Voltaic Key. One half of the ever-present Vault Key combo. This was the uncommon printing from Urza Saga, art by Henry G. Higginbotham. 1 mana artifact, 1 tap, untap target artifact. Funny thing about this, you can also just blow out your mana by having this untap itself. Just 1 mana, have it untap itself. That's relevant for some fun self-mill combos that people don't really think about anymore, but just absolute powerhouse with things like Thran Dynamo, Grim Monolith, all the mana rocks, and also reusing things like Temporal Aperture. We have 4 copies of Voltaic Key. Next up, one of my favorite cards of all time, Wildfire. Also from Urza Saga, art by Carl Critchlow. 4 red sorcery. Each player sacrifices 4 lands. Then Wildfire deals 4 damage to each creature. You may notice that all of our creatures are either able to get bigger than 4 on the back end, or are already bigger than 4 on the back end, or can regenerate. So all of our creatures are capable of surviving Wildfire. That's one of the big synergies of the deck. Shut down your opponent's resources. You don't really care about your lands as much because well, not all, but a large portion of your mana is coming from mana rocks. So, lands be damned. We have 4 copies of Wildfire. Next up, Worn Power Stone, 3 mana artifact, or also an uncommon from Urza Saga. Also art by Henry G. Higginbotham. 3 mana artifact, comes into play tapped, and taps for 2 colorless mana. It's a mini Thran Dynamo. For 1 less. Next up, fantastic Soul Land. One of the 2 best 2 mana producing lands ever printed. The other one is also in this deck. What a time. Also, this was an uncommon. Fun fact. But we have the Tempest printing of Ancient Tomb. Art by Colin McNeil. Tap, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Ancient Tomb deals 2 damage to you. This still sees extensive play in every format that it's legal. Premodern, Legacy, Vintage, Commander. You name it, it's showing up in decks that want to accelerate things. We have 3 copies of Ancient Tomb. Now we have the other Soul Land of the time, and one of the best of all times. Unfortunately, on the reserve list, City of Traders from Exodus, with art by Kev Walker. If you play a land, sacrifice City of Traders. Tap, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Keep in mind that's if you play a land, not if a land is put into play under your control. Different things. So if you have ramp spells that put lands into play, it does not trigger this. But if you play a land from your hand or anywhere else, it does. But still, a fantastic way to accelerate on its own. And we have 4 copies of City of Traders. Next up we have 13 Mountains. Across 3 different printings, we have the Urza Saga printing with art by John Avon. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of that. Next, we have the 6th edition printing with art by John Avon, which is a effective reprint of the Mirage art. Actually, my favorite Mirage art for Mountains. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies. Then we have the Tempest printing with art by Mark Poole. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Well, that was Kai Budde's mono red artifacts deck from World Championships in 1999. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm. It really helps us out, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, if you like this video, hey, share it with a friend. We are slowly growing as a channel, and I really need your help for that. I appreciate everyone that has helped so far along the way. But until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.